Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Sands of Time, the End of Life Journey and Beyond. I'm Lisa Strahs-Lorenc. Hi,
And I'm
Susan.
Susan Capurso. Thank you for joining us today. We have a very special guest today, and we're so excited to introduce you to Crystal Gonzales of Dignity Memorial Funeral Homes. And as our video series is all about end of life topics, well, Crystal's just one of them. And I'd like to introduce Crystal to tell us a little bit more today.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Crystal Gonzales, and I am a licensed funeral director and family service counselor with OB Davis Funeral Home Dignity Memorial. And basically, what I do is I help people make choices and decisions ahead of time so that at the time of need, everything is taken care of. It really assuages that stress and that financial burden that is left on families. And with my company, what they've done is talking about, death is hard for some people. And talking about your own plans can be even harder. So we've broken it down into 4 simple steps to kind of start this conversation or have this conversation. And those steps are reflect, record, secure, and share. So, what do I mean by reflect? How do you want to be remembered? What moments or memories from your life do you want to extract and then magnify and then have your family members reminisce and talk about when you're no longer here? Record, we actually have a book called the Personal Planning Guide, and it answers about 91% of the questions that somebody needs to answer at the time of need. And it is so helpful. It's like a life-saving tool. Not only can you put your vital information in there, you can put service preferences, genealogy, people to contact, financial information. The idea is to have everything in one place so that at the time of need, your family doesn't have to go running around. I mean, I don't know where my mother's social security card is.
Yeah.
So she probably has it like in a black box in the attic or something. So
Yeah.
I've made
Crystal, I've seen the book, the planning book, and it's beautiful. It's
yeah.
laid out beautifully.
Yes, thank you. And I feel like a lot of times it's very user friendly. It's very straightforward. They've actually enlarged the print, so it's very helpful. Um, the other piece of our work is secure. So what do I mean by that? A lot of times people come in and they have sticker shock when they get a funeral estimate, and that's because we're not doing it every day. But one thing that you can do is you can lock in a price of today so that 10 years from now, when our prices change, you're only responsible for what we locked in at the time of plans. And that's so beneficial for families because now they can make customized terms to make payments monthly or annually. It, helps them spend a little money now so that their life insurance can actually be used for their families to live out the life that they've been living. And so that's a really big stick and really important to a lot of people. And then lastly is to share. I feel like sometimes when we do this, people are like, okay, I have it done. I want to put it in my file. But one of the biggest things is to actually share it with your family members, share it with healthcare professionals or lawyers or people that you're working with, because then everybody's on the same page. So when something does happen, they're not trying to figure out, did they have a plan? No. So sharing is one of the biggest things. And it also, helps you explain to your family what your wishes are. And I think that's one of the biggest things too, is being able to have that voice in your own arrangements. I don't know how many times I've had somebody come in and they're like, oh, just put me in a box, which is, whatever their preference is. But had their family done it, or I've had family members be sitting with them and they're like, really? That's what you want? So if they waited, the family members could have done something that maybe they weren't expecting, or maybe they actually didn't want. They didn't want some elaborate service or anything like that. So it's so good to have this conversation and to be open about it with your family.
Crystal, I wanted to just quick share a story, and I don't remember all the details because it was told to me and I heard it, but it sticks in my mind when you talk about sharing, okay, and how important it is. So there was an elderly gentleman that lived in a home, and he went into, I guess, an assisted live, maybe a nursing home. He went into a nursing home, and he had basically nothing but his home. And eventually all the funds came from his home, and he lost the home, and he had nothing to leave his children. And when the home was being cleaned out, because the man had finally passed away, somehow the timing was in step with each other, and they were cleaning out the basement, and in a box they found that he had purchased 25 years ago a long-term care policy and all his funeral arrangements, and everything was there and nobody knew about it.
Wow.
So that's really, really, that always stuck in my mind, because it's easy to do, but when you don't share it and nobody else knows about it, that's when, what's the use? Because
Right.
you don't always remember as we get older, with dementia and all those crazy things happening.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. Thank
Especially
you for
talking
sharing
about
that.
it. Especially talking about it. People don't want to talk about it. They don't want to think about it. And that's a problem, because the wishes of that person are the most important thing. When my husband was dying, I said to him, I want to know exactly what you want, and I want to do everything according to your wishes. And we did do a pre-need, and he wanted to be cremated, and we did a beautiful memorial service. And that's what he wanted. And I wish that people would just be more honest with their family members. Number one, as you said, I mean, it causes stress at a time that is least, the time that anybody should be thinking about what to do. And secondly, it makes you feel a little more comforted, feeling like you're doing exactly what that person wanted.
I
Think
totally
about this.
agree. Go
Think
ahead.
about this, right? I've met so many people, even family members, right, where nobody pre-plans and has anything, and then the day comes and they had no money. What do? We can't do anything. And then I had to lay out a lot of money for my sister. What are you going to do? You have to do something for her, for friends and family.
Mm.
But all right, she was young, that was a different story. But as we get older, really, you should put something in place, because it's for your family. It's so less stress in their lives. They know what to do now. They know to just pick up that paperwork, that folder that you have, that planning book, and just call Crystal or call somebody, right? And just say, hey, we have this book, now what? And then everything's laid out beautifully for you.
That's so true. I couldn't agree more, because when I sit down with families, I don't say, hey, you want to plan your funeral? Like, how daunting and intimidating is that? And that's actually not what we're doing. What you're doing is you are doing that last act of love, because you're protecting your family. Throughout your
Right.
whole life, you do things to protect your family, or you have things just in case, like health
You're
insurance, like
helping.
exactly. So you're helping and you're doing that for them. And so a lot of people are comforted, like, oh, I'm so glad mom did this, because
Oh,
I
yes.
couldn't. There's so many questions that people
And
have to
it's
ask.
scary for them. What do I do? I
Exactly.
don't know what to do. Before I became an end of life doula, Crystal, I was afraid of the whole concept of pre-planning. What is
Yeah.
that? I believe in karma and the law of attraction and positive spiritual inspirational things. And if you tell me to go pre-plan, that means I'm setting in place what's going to happen. That something's going to happen to me now because I'm planning it. And
Right.
it took me the last few years to really understand that that's not the case. You're doing a wonderful thing for your
Right. I
family.
really feel like it's a benefit to your family. And one thing that I kind of think is, once people have this in place, then I feel like maybe they can live fuller lives, because they know it's taken care of. They know that they've, cared for their family, protected them. So they can go out and, brush it off. They don't have to worry about this. And so I really feel like, in a way, it's a relief.
Oh,
Families
yeah,
appreciate it. And
sure.
I feel good knowing that I have information about my family members, just in case
Right.
anything were to happen. I don't actually live by them. And that's another big thing.
I gotta just interject with this, because
Yeah.
the other night, there's a movie on Netflix now, and it's called something like I Love You or Love You, but it's a series of 5 different couples. It's like a documentary, and it's 5 different couples who have lived their whole lives together and are so in love. And it's beautiful. I won't have that. My husband's gone. But it was so breathtaking to watch. And I'm only actually into the second story, but that first story about the couple who've been married for 60 years and they live in Vermont. They actually own the Vermont syrup
Oh,
company.
wow.
Yeah, and they've now passed it on to their children, and it's a whole big farm up there in Vermont, a very big one.
Yeah.
But one of the things that they showed throughout the documentary is that they would hold hands and they would get in the car and she would drive and she went down to see a crystal. They went and they sat at the desk and they filmed it. And they talked about why they're pre-planning. And she says, no, I want this. And he says, no, I want my ashes over there on the other side of the mountain. And she says, no, I want to be in the cemetery with my mother, you know, over there. So they were in agreement and it was all in paperwork. And then the person like you in your chair right there said to them, okay, so the next thing you need to do is have a family meeting with all your kids and tell them all of this that you put down in these documents. They did that same thing with their financial advisor and with somebody else, but it was kind of cool to show you how they walk through each piece. And it's all about the pre-planning. They did it right for their family.
That's absolutely beautiful. And one thing you made me think of is normalizing the talk about, of no longer being here or somebody passing, because we plan for weddings, we plan for baby showers.
Right.
I mean, we plan for all of these things, but it's so hard for people to actually plan for the inevitable, something that will happen to all of us.
It's happening.
And it's so hard, because people don't want to think like, I can't think about living without, my loved one. And I don't have a 60-year relationship yet either. I'm working on that on Tinder. But just kidding. But I think that's absolutely beautiful. And, if people are okay, not okay, but if they're open to having that conversation, it helps you and your family. And I just feel like even as a society, like trying to normalize talk about passing is really important.
People also need to see that there's different levels that you can do. I mean, not everybody's going to have this huge funeral, and that's okay. But there are different things that people can do to make their lives personalized the way they want to be remembered. So give us some ideas and choices.
Tell us about what
Oh my
you
gosh,
do when a person comes in.
You just reminded me. So this is actually really cool. I sat with a family 2 weeks ago, and before they came in, the daughter was telling me, Crystal, my mom loves Star Wars. She's absolutely, a space fanatic. And I was like, oh, cool, because we have something, and I've never actually sold it. We have something called space flight, and there's 3-4 different ships, I think, where somebody's ashes, it looks like a little bullet, can be shot into space. And there's one where it goes up and then it comes down, or one that will circle the earth, or one that like goes into the abyss. And for people who love that, or that's their passion,
Meaningful.
why can't we give them that option? Like who says you have to have like a traditional people come in? When people think of funerals, sometimes they think of like that somber look, that low music, which is not it at all. Like you guys are doing on this whole page and with these videos, like it's a celebration of life.
It is.
And I know for me at mine, if people are like dull, I probably wouldn't have hung out with them in real life. Like I'm very, very lively.
Most of the funerals that I've attended are just like that. They're sad, they're somber, there's crying, there's, the tone in the funeral home. And I had, when I graduated from being a doula, I had met another woman that lives in the city or Queens or something. And we had become friendly a lot over the phone. We had lunch a few times, and her mom passed. And I felt like, I know her well enough that I really wanted to take the drive in and go there to support her. So she says, I have a really big family. Don't be shocked when you get there. And I walk in and there's a line to get in, right? So I'm waiting and I'm waiting. Now, they were 100% Irish. Okay. Now, guess what happened when I walked in that room?
You were met with a shot?
She made quilts. Right? All of her quilts were in the double size funeral home in the room, and the music was playing, and everybody was laughing and hugging, and it was so loud in there. that I couldn't believe it. It was the first time I really ever went to an Irish wake. I've read
Mhm.
about them, there's a book about them, but I've never attended one. And just to be, I actually stood in the back because I didn't know anybody, of course, but I was like I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And
After my
the coolest thing.
after my husband's funeral memorial service, people came up to me and they said to me, "That was so happy." And I said, "That's what it was supposed to be. It was a celebration of his life." People got up and talked, and there was music and some songs that meant a lot to him, and his pictures were everywhere because of a photographer on the side, and stories. I mean, that's what it is. It's a celebration of life. I didn't want, over 100 people crying, and that's not what he would want.
Crystal,
feel like
how are your services different? Like I know you see a lot of the somber and sad services,
yes.
but what's the
So
other extreme that you see?
So the other extreme is shooting somebody up to space,
There
which
you
we
go.
have the ability to do. There's also this thing, it's called the Neptune wreath. So if people are really into like marine life or anything like that, they can actually have their ashes become part of this wreath, which also gives life to
I
the
think you
fish
read
and
my
everything
book
in the sea. I didn't. Well, I'm
because
sorry, I
both of
didn't.
those things are in my book,
I swear.
Crystal.
So it really does. And I think that's so cool. Another thing, this just reminds me because we just had it. So I'm noticing that funerals are actually getting to become a little more personal and like
Yeah.
become celebrations of life. Like that's what I push for. And we had somebody's really old timey car in front of the funeral home like a week ago because they loved like this collector's car and everybody, wanted to go out there and see it. And it was really neat. A family
Yeah.
that I just worked with a week ago, they're artists and they have beautiful art because we shared, when we were sitting down. And their idea is that they want their art all over around the room. And I was like, yes, please. Because when I sit down with families too, like it's not just like, hi, what's your name? What
Right.
service do you want? It's, can I get to know you a little bit? What do you do in your life? Like what's important to you? And we have like a genuine conversation. I really want to get to know the people that I'm sitting in front
Sure.
of because
Because
it's my duty
and let
to
people know
serve them.
now you could bring anything into these services, right? And not to be afraid, because I'm going to tell you, 7 years ago when my husband passed, he was a big Heineken drinker. You always had Heineken in my refrigerator, right? And everybody knew Big Jim liked his Heineken. At the memorial service, I had talked to a girlfriend and we wanted to serve big platters, even if it was little shot glasses of Heineken in it, and just do a toast. But do you know what? I was afraid. I don't know if the word's afraid to ask. I was maybe embarrassed that he was a beer drinker. I don't know. I don't know what and plus grieving.
Yeah.
So all of that, none of it was pre-planned, and all of that I didn't ask because I was felt a little intimidated, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I think about it all the time now. I should have done that, and I wish I did.
Yeah,
Little,
but at the
you
moment you
know,
couldn't. So
exactly. In the moment you can't. And that, I just kind of goes more to the reason why you want to think of these things ahead of time and pre-plan because, maybe that's something that you would have been able to think about with not being overwhelmed with actually what just happened. But you're right. You can ask because it doesn't hurt to ask. We just had a family who they owned a body shop and they didn't love like the wood casket, I think it was. So they took it and they wrapped it. They painted it and made it like personal for this person. And I think that's awesome.
yeah.
And, we now actually, funeral homes are able to have food and drinks inside. For a while, it was actually illegal, but we have a catering room. So
wow,
you can bring food in,
That's
please bring.
wonderful.
Yeah.
nice.
And it also kind of helps people like go into the room and then step out, kind of have that break. The word companion, pan is in there, obviously. And in Spanish, it means bread. So what do you do with your friends or when you come together is you eat, you break bread, you ask your friend, do you want to go to dinner?
That's right.
So that's something that I feel like we bring to our families because we help them have more of a connection than just coming in, signing the register book, take a card and get out. Like It's just, that
Exactly.
seems so cold.
It is
Yeah.
cold.
Exactly. In
It's cold.
Ireland, they have major big celebrations. I talked about that in a previous video. And they come for a week, and people come from all over the town just to come and have drinks and celebrate and be happy for the family that it was a life well lived.
Right.
And a gentleman grew up here in the United States and went back because his father had passed after he hadn't seen him in many years. And he was like, this is not the 2 hour wake. What is this? What's going on? And that was what the whole book was about, talking about the way that they come together to celebrate and how beautiful it was. And why do we just have the 2 hour wake?
Yeah.
Right.
Krista, where are your locations?
So where I actually am with these beautiful wall hangings is in Miller Place at OB Davis, and we have 3 locations. So, Miller Place, Port Jefferson, and Center Reach. But I'm part of Dignity Memorial. So if you think of that like as an umbrella, we're just one of our funeral firms. We also have IJ Morris in Dix Hills, or Boyd Spencer in Babylon, or Riverside in Hewlett. Actually, Dignity Memorial, we have over 2,000 locations across the US, Puerto Rico, and Canada. And one great thing about that is if somebody makes plans here, and it seems everybody's going to Florida now, they decide they want to move to Florida, we would just find the closest provider to where they are in Florida, and their arrangements would just transfer, which I don't feel like a lot of other firms can do that because we have the resources. So people don't have to feel stuck, which is, I think, awesome.
That's a wonderful thing. The first time I heard you tell a group of people that, I think where we met, I don't know, but I was like, wow, that's a great comfort, a safe feeling to know that no matter where you go, it's just a phone call.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course, that's all denominations, right?
All, yes.
Want to say that?
Yes, all denominations. And actually, I'm really good at Hindu funerals. That's where
Really?
I started. Yeah, that's where I started in Queens. There's a huge Guyanese population, and I absolutely love them. And that's something, that we can do. But I like to tell people that, because some people are like, oh, Irish Catholic, we go to church. We can really do anything. One other thing I thought of was, I feel like with our firm and what I do, I contact people ahead of time, but I also follow up after services. So if there's that widow, I follow up. I see how she's doing. We have, a dignity library, which is support material. And we actually have something called Compassion Helpline, where it's available to family members 13 months after services, and anybody who comes to the wake 3 months, and they can call 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and speak to a licensed professional.
Wow.
And so, for example,
That's great.
right? For example, during 9/11, the most frequent call came in between 1 and 2 a.m. And guess how long it was?
I don't know.
An hour, at least an
Wow.
hour.
Wow.
When people kind of go home and they're tossing and turning, everybody has gone to their own homes. Like, we don't want to abandon anyone. We want them to know that we are here to support them.
Wow, that's an amazing service. Amazing.
And
People don't
you're
have
thinking outside of the box, and that's what I really love about you. You're innovative, you're creative in working with all your clients, and that's the way to be,
Thank
in
you.
now today's day and age.
Can you just give some contact information so that everybody has that?
Yes, definitely. So the number to reach me at would be 631-744-1001. And my email is crystal.gonzales@dignitymemorial.com. So it's crystal@dignitymemorial.com.
That's
Great.
wonderful. And
Great.
if you lose that by some chance, contact us, because we know how to reach Crystal all the time.
I know it's so long.
Oh, it's amazing service.
Can
And
they call you and just come chat? I mean, are they obligated? Do you charge for these sit downs?
I
Can they get the
absolutely
planning
encourage
book?
people. Yeah, I encourage people to come and just do have questions, because you can't make a decision on something you don't know about. So one of the biggest things is me giving you education and helping you know what is available to you. You can bring little shot glasses of Heineken What does the service look like at today's prices? Like nobody's obligated to do anything. But I do encourage people to contact me if you want information, and then we can go from there.
Excellent.
Great, great. So important.
Wow.
You really celebrate life. You truly do. And that's what it really is about.
Thank you.
Really great information
Yes.
today. We thank you for
Yes.
joining us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate both of you, and I absolutely love what you're doing here.
Thank you.
It's really great work.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Lisa and I offer some end of life courses online too to help with your journey. And you can find that at eastend.academy. If you're looking for something like that, there's books out there, there's YouTube videos, there's people to talk to. There's so much information out there now. You just have to look for it.
And let me also mention, both of us are self-published authors, and we have both done some books. And you did a book too, Crystal?
No, I was just
Okay.
I was giving
Okay,
claps.
thank you. Thank you.
She's giving kudos.
We're humble about it, but both of us were motivated, obviously, by things that were important to us. With my husband's death from pancreatic cancer, I felt that they needed some support books. And so my first support book was in the very beginning, where I explained about the disease, and I interviewed about 20 families. I had 4 survivors at the time, back in 2010, which was amazing for that disease. Anyway, all the monies go to Lustgarten Foundation here on Long Island. I'm really proud of that. And then 10 years later, I want to check in, see how everybody's doing. And that's my moving on book. And both books, Pancreatic Cancer, it's a family affair, Pancreatic Cancer, Families Move On, are found on Amazon or on www.familiesmoveon.com. And again, all the monies go to the Lustgarten Foundation. And it doesn't have to be pancreatic cancer. I found that people have been sending it as gifts to people who've just lost loved ones. And it really is about, you know, your new life, and also about being able to celebrate the life of that person. So Susan, tell us about your books.
Well, mine, you can just look, search Susan Capurso on Amazon. That's the easiest way. And you'll see. And the one book, Coming Full Circle, is really about what we were talking about, things outside of the box. There's 100 tools, tips, and ideas to use and bring in at the end of your life. So a lot of powerful information in there.
You also have a really nice legacy book. Could you bring that up? Because I was asked about that for a few other people who are, you know, working with older parents and all.
Yeah, so it's called Remember Me, the Story of My Life, and it's really prompts on a page that bring you back to a certain memory in time. And the page is all filled with lines, and you fill that out. And that's something that will last in your family for many generations to come. If you knew a piece of your great-great-grandmother's life and what she did in a day in the life of, wouldn't that be awesome? It would validate your own experience here in the world. So some of these memories to share are even good for caregivers, you know, that are at home with family members just watching TV. Hey, leave a little history. We're all the ancestors today, whether we're healthy or not. So either way. And I just wanted to mention, Crystal's also on the National Aging in Place Council. We both belong to that. We have a couple chapters here on Long Island. And seniors that need help, we're a great resource center that they can reach out to us for any questions as well.
And how do they reach? Is there a website or anything for the people who might be listening for Aging in Place thing? The Aging in Place organization?
Yeah, it's aginginplace.org. Yeah, and if you can, if you reach out to me at any time, send me a message on the video, or eastenddoulacare.com is my website, and I can give you all that information, and you can attend a meeting if you'd like. Yeah.
The great thing about that too, I just want to add, is that everybody that's a member of that is vetted. So
Yes.
you're very reliable people. So you know you're in a good place. And
Yeah.
I do want to say, I have Susan's book in the room that I meet families in, and it's amazing because, you know, that people want to come, they want to read Coming Full Circle, they want those prompts. And so Lisa, actually, I feel like maybe if you want to send me a book, I would totally put that in there too, because I don't want to be just, you know, pre-planning. I want to be able to offer people resources and then send them where they can really get great help.
The amazing thing about the second book, about Families Move On, is that, you know, it's not the life that we thought we'd all live, but we are living new lives. And so many of us have found new partners, or we have grandchildren, or, you know, we have a whole new life. And it's a celebration of the life, because that person would never have wanted you to be unhappy. And that I know. So, and my second book, by the way, does have a survivor, which is amazing, out of that amount. So one survivor left. it's a tough disease. They're trying to do a lot of new research on it. So, but that a great offer, and I'll take you up on it, Crystal.
Interesting conversation today. Crystal, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, you guys. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I love everything that you guys are doing.
We love what you're doing too. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.